So what type of mediums do you
When I'm
perform in?
working,
Yeah.
I like to work in the medium of collage. I like to take drawings. That's the basis of everything in my book, is to just draw all the time and get things on paper and fill sketchbooks. And I work very much the same way I've learned to write songs, which is just fill notebooks up and then start to cut and paste, put things together, and then layer on top of that, and then peel it off and layer and just play with it, really.
Wow.
And get involved with the process of making it. And then if you, as I do it enough, things happen. I get lucky just by showing up at the page
Yeah.
and working until I get very comfortable being in the studio. I
Indeed.
don't put a whole lot of thought into it while I'm working. I like to think about it when I'm looking at a painting. I think that that's what happens when you're looking at something. The composition of the painting, there's a certain kind of resonance and clarity when it starts to go well and when it starts to lock into its visual groove, much like having a good drummer. You get a groove, and when you have that right, there's a certain reverberation that happens that, quite frankly, emits something like the truth.
Yeah, totally.
And this is an inspiring thing, and it puts the viewer on a different level, and things become available. I've always been interested in Thomas Edison, who said that thoughts are things.
Ooh.
And what he did to get his ideas would be he would calm himself down and take naps, and then he would imagine, visualize possibilities literally floating about him in the air.
Wow.
And he would convince himself that he would see this idea as a thing or that idea as a thing, and he would grab them and start to work with them and attain some kind of an inner direction. And I think that's what a lot of people that are involved in any of the arts are looking for, is some kind of a grounding, some kind of a connection to one's bearings. And I certainly speak for myself, and most of the people I know that are involved in music, they do it to center themselves and to find that opening into nature, poking a hole in nature, and then trying to put yourself through there and live the experience. It's a wonderful thing. That's what inspires me.
Oh yeah. Even, I mean, I hate to, I mean, this, I'll go real cheese box here, but even I was just watching a thing with John Mayer. He was talking about this one song called Gravity, that talks. The line is something like, "Gravity, stay the hell away from me. Gravity, it's always bringing me down." He said that's one thing that I consciously wrote a song about several things that were going really wrong in my life at once, to try to be kind of really vague and very obsequious about the whole thing, knowing that every time that I sang that afterwards, as generic as it would be something that I could speak to at that time. You know, my luggage just got lost to here, or something happened there, or whatever, that it was something that could always be communicated in the moment, no matter what that moment was, and something that other people could really identify with. And so many other songwriters talk about maybe not exactly telling the whole story about what, you know, like Pearl Jam, you know, everybody hounds on like Eddie Vedder to be so, you know, again, obsequious and kind of, you know, pulled back about, you know, what things are about, and maybe even not singing them straight, you know, to kind of hide the words even. But to go back and go, yeah, sure, that's what that was about, sure. You know, or John Lennon, and Imagine, he was like, he met somebody and it was like all tripped out, and he's like, well, dude, how the hell could I be writing about you and your space and your life currently when I wrote that about me and my space currently with a different girl that I'm with now? I mean, how could that, so many, you know, 25 years later, or, you know, 18 years later, whatever it was, from the Beatles to then, in the early 80s, how could I have even known you or known about you? But for you to be so enthralled and wrap your whole life up around these words and these lyrics. Because, I mean, again, even with the shows I do security for and stuff, you always love to see when those people come up and they're crying and they're singing those songs and they're right there in it.
Yeah.
And you can see that they're not even there anymore, man. They've been taken by the music, you know, somewhere else. And that's what, you know, for all you guys, you know, you see the music that we play here on the show and stuff. But, you know, to really unplug yourselves and get your butt up off the sofa and get out and see music, then you really you know, even like this mutual friend of ours, Donnie, who plays drums with you, of course. You know, several people who've moved to town always had a thing about Stevie Ray Vaughan. Yeah, Stevie Ray Vaughan, chugga chugga chugga, whatever, Stevie Ray Vaughan. I was like, oh really? Well, here, watch this footage, and then you see footage of him, and you go, oh, well, I didn't know he was doing all that. You know, I mean, he was like grabbing it and bending it behind his head and all, you know, and it's like this power, this Vesuvius comes off of you.
Right.
Like even you, man. I mean, again, it's stupid, but I mean, it's you, a guitar, a slide, and a little amp rig. I mean, it's nothing.
Well, doesn't need much.
Yeah, but
we're all
powerful,
one. We're all
man.
connected, and
Powerful.
yeah, I think that connecting. That's why I'm interested in the arts and in that kind of thing. I'm interested in making connections, and as a fan of the arts, you know,
Right.
these fans of Stevie Ray Vaughan or whoever, they're making connections to Stevie. That's a big legacy. Stevie at one time was making connections to Jimi Hendrix. He was making connections to Albert King. He was making connections to Clifford Antone, who was making his own connections. So we're all one. We're all really together in this, and we're all connected, and that we forget that we are, well, we're following a different illusion. And I think great music like that really brings the people back together very quickly.
Oh, that's true.
And I can't imagine a world without art and without music. So I really, you know, I'm out there supporting it as a fan as much as one who does it, because I don't know what else to do. I can't imagine my life without it.
Yeah, really, it's such an integral part. And it's weird that it's something that, I was listening to something on KUT this Saturday or Sunday morning, and it was talking about how the inherency of music has always been. I mean, it's not something that we've ever gone away from. The same thing with storytelling. You know, that's why even Chuck Berry says, you know, most people have cars, you know, most people have girls or in love or been out of love or something. So we'll write songs about, you know, people in love or out of love with a girl or a boy, and then with a car or school or something, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And again, most of your music is partially based on really old stuff, you know.
I like the old themes.
Like we were talking about, you know, Fred and Mississippi Fred and some of the, you know, Son House and Robert Johnson and some of these older Mance Lipscomb and stuff, you know. But again, to go back and hear some of those songs like Spoonful done by Cream or taking some of these other songs in a new way, well, that's not necessarily a bad thing, you know, postmodern wise, but even still, you're just a goofy white guy from, where are you from? Jersey? No, where'd you go? Where are you?
All over the place.
No, where were you born though?
I was born in Detroit.
Detroit, that's what
I was born in Royal Oak, Michigan, which is outside Detroit proper.
Right.
And
He's a
then
Motor City bad man.
Pittsburgh, and grew up in Westport, Connecticut, and grew up in St. Louis.
Oh, right.
And yeah, so I've been around a little bit.
Yeah, totally. And
Yeah.
all very interesting, very
Wonderful
work
places to
ethic
grow up.
and American
Oh, all that
type
good
towns,
stuff.
you know?
Yeah, great time to grow up. I had a
Yeah.
wonderful childhood.
Cool. So and that talking, oh, see, we're at 37. So anything you want to talk about before we get to the music? Because what we'll do is we'll throw to a video or two and get you set up, and then we'll let you play us out. So anything else you want to cover? I want to make sure we got the right. I love those new graphics.
I guess I'm ready to play, and we can talk after that or something like that.
Once we do that, because we're about 37 in the hour, 38
Okay.
in the hour, so we'll play another video here in a minute, and we'll get you all set up. And
Okay, play a couple songs.